Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.
Hi, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our show number 243, and it's Georgia-Guidestones Part 2. I am Rosemary LaChance.
And I'm Carla Augustin.
And we are your hosts for our thought-provoking Food for Thought show, which now has 3 parts. And tonight we are doing Part 3, What Do You Think? Okay. From time to time, we will present to you, our audience, many subjects that have been in the news or in famous books or movies or documentaries that test our ability to seek the truth and decide for ourselves what we think is truly going on in this world, along with our Life Explained series and our guest speakers. So this is the 3rd chapter, and if you have any ideas or suggestions as to what you would like us to talk about, please get in touch with us and give us suggestions. We will try to do it for you, and if not, give you the reason why we cannot.
Okay. We make no claim to our truth. We just present the facts, discuss them, and let you decide for yourselves. That's the point of this series. If you have questions, you can email us or write letters to the station, NHTV, which is North Haven TV in North Haven, Connecticut. And they will be passed on to us so that we may answer them on our show and only on our show. We will not engage in any discussions, convince you or debate anything. That's not the point of this. As a show always is, this is food for thought subjects for the inquiring mind. So we're doing part 2.
Okay.
So people can simply go to episode 242
for
to
part
see
1.
the beginning where we really got into the introduction of all this and why we're doing.
That's right.
Why we're trying out this series and
Yes.
what we hope to accomplish.
Yes.
Just all of us as humanity just think, what do we think about certain subjects?
That's right.
And what do we find concerning that's a little threatening to spirituality?
We did explain in part 1 about the number 1 and number 2 of the Georgia-Guidestones.
Yeah.
And we have on the monitor in the back of us a picture of the Georgia-Guidestones. And we're going to show you, there it is, we're going to show you 3 more pictures because we have 16 in all. So we showed, 4 more. We showed 4 in the first.
Yeah.
We showed 8. Now we're going to show another 4. So here's 1. This is what they look like. You must be asking yourself what they are, but if you saw part 1, you would know.
Yeah.
This is where they are in Elberton, Georgia. That's
to be able to figure out time and day and all of that. Be able to
aligned with the sun in a certain way.
Yes,
yeah.
aligned with the sun in a certain way. And these were erected by a mystery man, and it's supposed to be addressing New World Order, and if there was some huge annihilating event where the population was greatly reduced, this is supposed to be the new 10 Commandments, okay, replacing the original 10 Commandments. This would be the new 10 Commandments for a new way of being governed and a new way of living. And there are literally 10 commandments or 10 precepts as they're known. They're in 8 different languages on each side. So there's 4 slabs, and on each side is a different language listing the 10 new commandments for our world, for a new world order. So we got into a lot more detail, and we got as far as the first 2. Mm-hmm. So we were just going to cover those just really briefly.
Yeah.
You read them, what the first 2 messages are on the Georgia-Guidestones.
Well, the first one is maintain humanity under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. And this is particularly shocking since it basically stipulates that 12 out of 13 people on Earth should not exist. Basically, that would mean everybody in the world would disappear except half of India. If today's world population is 6.7 billion, then that is a 92.54% surplus. These figures are mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's hard to wrap yourself
Yeah.
around the idea of the population being reduced and kept that way. So even if it was something that happened nuclear-wise and just very few people were left, why would the one governing one world order want to keep the population under that and not grow the population more? Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, because they did mention that about possibly having this a world war.
Yes.
That would annihilate.
Nuclear war that would annihilate so many people, and that would reduce it. And of course, in the first part, we did get into all the different ways that they could do that.
So we're trying to catch you up on it, but we hope that you will watch part 1, show number 242. Okay? And the second one is Guide Reproduction Wisely, Improving Fitness and Diversity.
Okay,
I'll let
so
you explain that one.
That's another thing. Guide reproduction wisely. Who gets to say what? Who gets to say what's wise? Who does the guiding, and who does it happen to? Who gets to say these people don't really deserve to even be born or be thought about, or to continue to live? And these two people, I mean, who decides who gets to mate with who?
Yeah, mate.
Is there any freedom in decision? And that's our concern, really, with this overall new world order, one world order, globalization. It's also known as, is that taken to an extreme, and this is certainly an extreme, who is deciding, and this is taking away our personal freedoms, our spiritual freedoms, that we're not deciding this, you know. So who's to say? I mean, eugenics, the study of eugenics, there's a lot of material out there on eugenics. It's encouraging those with desirable traits to reproduce, okay? So
like Hitler wanted to do.
Exactly. This is the same thing. Who decides what's desirable? I mean, if there's a genetic disposition in your family, is that decided not desirable, so none of you can exist in your family because you have this one gene that might cause a particular disease or whatever? So, I mean, it gets pretty scary, to say the least. It gets tricky, and it's concerning, because who's doing this decision making, and haven't we advanced beyond judging life?
You're right.
Right? We're supposed to feel, I mean, like, there's no racism, there's no homophobia, there's no, you know, anything, misogyny, you know, anything in the world that discriminates, and you know, we're supposed to be all accepting of all people, but this is the complete opposite.
Right.
So if you're someone who does believe in the acceptance of all people, and you are someone that believes people have the right, as long as, Ten Commandments, as long as they're not hurting anybody else, they have the right to live how they were, then this is very concerning to you.
That's right.
Because this is taking that freedom away, and this is saying, no, maybe we don't want those types of people here anymore. Maybe we don't want people that look like that anymore.
And they say in perpetual balance with nature. Now, what could that mean?
Right.
Nature.
Right.
What are they saying? Are they talking about plants? Are they talking about food? What are they talking about?
Right. The animals, the climate.
Yeah.
Are they what are they?
What do they mean by that?
What do they need?
Perpetual balance.
Perpetual balance. And so
maybe it's the amount of food they plant for the people. You know, nature is you know, trees and bushes and flowers and things like that, and fruit and things, you know. So I don't know what that means. I wonder if they're including animals in that.
Right.
You know?
I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't even know how they describe nature. We're not sure.
So we get into this a little more in the part 1.
Right.
So please
okay,
be
so
sure
those
to
are
watch
the first.
that.
Yeah, those are the first 2 new commandments.
The third one is unite humanity with a living, and that's in italics, new language. Living.
All right, so I think a lot of these, when you go down the list, if you read them really quick, you're thinking, well, what's the big deal, right? So what's the big deal? Okay, that makes sense. Let's just have one language, and then we can go anywhere in the world, and we're all speaking the same language. So, and I listened to some podcasts, and the podcast I was listening to, nobody thought that was a big deal, and I'm thinking, well, I do think it's nefarious, what's behind all of this. So what, if it is, if there is evil behind this, what is the big deal about having one living new language, whatever living means? And
whatever living means.
I don't know, but they were saying that, okay, so there's actually fewer I didn't realize there's so many languages on the planet, right? We think English, Chinese, right? That's
French,
right, Italian, French. I mean, that's what we think, right? But there's actually fewer languages now than 10,000 years ago, and the National Geographic reported that half the languages that exist today will be gone by the year 2100.
Really?
Okay, yeah, and we're in, right. So 6% of the languages, only 6% of the languages are spoken by 94% of the population. So that tells me, if I'm interpreting this right, there are just so many languages, right? These little populations, they're hidden away in the rainforest. These villages of people, right? They all have their own dialect and their own languages and stuff like that. There are some that believe we're eventually, centuries from now, we are moving towards one language naturally. But I don't believe in the Georgia-Guidestones. They're talking about this happening like a natural transition. Mm-hmm. I think they're talking about we'll come up with that one language. And if you listen to documentaries on Prime Video and YouTube and Netflix, people have their own theories about what that language might be. But the negative that I was reading about, if there is only one language, then we're all the same, okay? So you're giving up your culture, and individual cultures set the values for their people, all right? Mm-hmm. So someone who's living in the rainforest has completely different values and a different culture than we do, say, living in the U.S. or living over in London, and so it's very different. So are we encouraging this? Do we like the idea that there's diversity in culture? Do we like the idea? I mean, this is the question for people to discuss. Do we like the idea that there's differences and that people have their own traditions and people have their own values and they feel comfortable in their communities?
Yeah,
or do we want this is saying we're going to have one. This is it. We're going to have one
there's
culture.
No more discussions. There's no more learning.
Discussion, no more learning. How can I learn from people that live in a different culture?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of travel, right? You want to go learn, how do people live? Why do they think this way? How do they dress that's different? It makes life interesting, not monochromatic.
We might take up some of those pointers for ourselves and everything.
Just take up, how can we learn from different people? The different foods that people eat make life interesting, right? If we just all ate the same food and we couldn't try different kinds of foods and we didn't know people, it's just an interesting world having different cultures, just meeting new people, even within, our own demographics and where we live, just meeting someone and they say they were born someplace different, right? It's so interesting to us to find out about different things. So I think if you're for that diversity, we're talking about with New World Order and the Georgia-Guidestones, no diversity. There won't be any diversity. We're all going to think one way. So that might be the danger of a new language, just one living language, as they say.
Living. Living. That gets me. I don't understand.
I can't
even think what that means.
No. If anybody has any ideas, let us know. But I don't know what that's referring to, living new language. So is it something that doesn't exist yet? Is it something that's going to be created? Are we going to pick one language? I mean, these are all the questions that are out there, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder why they would want that in the first place. Unless because the population is going to be so severely restricted.
Right. Well, and I
Yeah.
think because they want everybody to be the same, it's very Nazism, right? They want everybody to be wearing the same thing, looking the same, like just they need to be controlled. People need to be controlled.
Well, this whole thing is
if
about
you don't
control.
speak my language, I can't control you.
Right.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
you see what I mean? So everything is in this. The Georgia-Guidestones is about control.
You're right.
I need to control you, and these are the ways I'm able to control you. You have to listen to
You're absolutely
everything
right.
I say, and this is the one language, and this is what we all speak.
Where God's 10 Commandments are all about freedom.
Everything. It's about freedom,
and
free will.
And free will with everything. Georgia Guidestones are all about
Take it all away.
divide,
make it-
bind, and conquer.
Like you say this all the time, and it was the first time I heard this was on doing one of the
Our shows, yeah.
one of our
That's
shows.
Lucifer's
and that's
motto.
Lucifer's motto, and we talked about I think in the Luciferian
Luciferian
doctrine
doctrine.
when we did Han's episode on that. And it's about divide the people, so now we're not friends. Bind them, we're both dependent on this one world government.
And order is the control.
And then control. And then control. You have to
what
do
it is.
exactly what I say.
Conquer. That's what the other
Conquer,
one's
that's what
conquer.
conquer.
Yeah, conquer.
Yes, yes.
And we will be conquered.
We will be conquered if
yeah.
this happens.
That's what
obviously.
it is.
Yeah.
When we're like that, when we're divided and we're bound, we will be conquered.
We're going to be conquered. Yeah.
So the next one, number 4, was that you or me?
Okay, so I'll read it. Number 4 is rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Okay? So rule. Okay, do you like that word rule? I mean, how many of us like rules? We never like rules growing up as kids.
No.
We don't really like rules as adults. I mean, we have to, there's laws which keep sanity in our society, but I mean, most of us don't like rules. So we're talking about a society where it's about rules. I mean, this is what it's going to be. So down to, we're going to rule passion, faith, and traditions. And I think that's what making it one language will help with getting rid of traditions. We're just all the same.
Right.
Okay, no different faiths, no different traditions. We're all the same. I had to go and kind of looked up, like, wait, what do they mean by tempered reason? And it means no extremes, moderation, an absence or avoidance of extravagance. So everything the same. Sounds very concentration camp, Third Reich. I mean, it really sounds like that, right? It totally sounds like that. It's just no extremes, moderation, absence or avoidance of extravagance. All right, this is going to be very difficult for, I know, our country. We love extravagance. We love abundance. We love all of that. And this is saying no, that we're tempering. I always come back with each of these precepts on the Georgia-Guidestone. Who decides this? And this is what's really scary. It's not you and me deciding if we happen to be that less than 10% that survive. It's not you and I deciding. It's a one world government deciding. This is what one world order is. This one, we talked about it in the last episode, the first part. It's really just say 5-10% of the population is the ruling class, and then underneath we will all be serving this ruling class.
They get rid of the middle class.
They totally get rid of the middle class, and it's simply a two-class system, if you even want to call it that. But it's just the ruling class, one government, one person in charge, and then everybody else underneath serving them. Okay, that's what this is about. This is what it's supposed to lead to.
To rule passion, I mean, there's passion in so many things. Passion in our sexual behaviors. That's one kind of passion.
Right.
There's passion in the way people love certain things and they get excited about doing certain things. Passion is a big word. It means a lot of different things. So would it be like robots?
No. Well, that's just it. And in spirituality, right, or what's just very in the, last decades of people talking about, I need to find my passion. That's a very big buzzword, phrase now. I need to find my passion. What makes me want to keep on living, so to speak. What thrills me, right?
Right.
All right. Most of us, we have things we have to do to survive every day, go to work, chores. There's things that need to be done, but then we're looking for that peace that just really excites us, that we, for ourselves, or maybe possibly we want to share. So to say ruling passion, I think what it means ultimately with New World Order is that you're not going to be able to get excited about anything. You're just going to be working very hard for this top layer of the ruling class, and that's all you're going to be able to do. There's really not going to be a lot of free time to develop passions. There's going to be no money to do that. You're probably just going to be dependent on the government giving you food and paying you, and so it's just, there's not going to be a lot of time for that. I think they're going to tell you what's valued. Like, we're going to value this, and if you want to have an interest, this is the interest.
You have to pick from this and this and this, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts.
Okay. So
that's a pretty big, wide, open
it is.
rule.
And when you say it, I mean, the first time you read this, you think, well, that's not a big deal.
That's
I mean,
nice.
okay, we want to protect people, and we want to protect nations, which I didn't think there was going to be different nations, so I didn't understand that so much. Right, because we're supposed to be under one world government. With fair laws, okay, everybody likes fairness, and just courts. But who decides?
You're right. Who decides what's
always
fair?
Who's deciding this? Is it your own, is it your own...
Will there be a lawyer for the defense and a lawyer for the plaintiff? Will that happen, or what?
Right.
Or somebody just says, no, you can't do this, this is it.
This is it. This is one world order, one world government, globalization. This is it. This is the law for everybody. Now, if you're watching this, say for instance, and say you're for, what would be the point at all of borders? And is this what's really going on in the underneath the discussion?
There won't be any borders.
If you're for open borders, well then you must hate this, because what would be the point of open borders? There's no better place to go to under New World Order. Everything is the same. Why do people want to go to certain countries? To better themselves, because they think they have more freedom and more opportunity in a different country. So we have trouble along our border. People want to come for freedom, for more opportunity. Well, that's not going to exist, because everywhere is going to be the same. So there's no escaping. There's no, I hate it here, I'll just go to this country and immigrate because I'll have a different life. No, everybody's life is the same. So there's just no point to any of this. There's just there's just a world government to establish. So where do you go if you disagree with the government? There's no place to go under New World Order if you disagree with the government. This is it. Doesn't matter if you live in the continent of Africa, in the continent, if you're in Antarctica, if you're in the North America, South America. It doesn't matter where you live, what continent you live on. There's just one government. So there's no escaping. There's no going someplace that will give you more opportunity. It just doesn't exist.
I know it.
All right, so so I think anybody that's ever immigrated to get a new life and gotten a better life would not agree with this. And again, if you're for open borders, well, then you have to ask yourself why. You want people to have a better life, right? And they won't. Nobody will. There'll just be one government. This is it. There's no point.
No place to go.
No place
nothing
to go.
do.
No place to go.
Fair laws, just courts. Fair and just for who?
For who? Who decides? For this ruling class? Do you really think if there's this one ruling class, 5% of the population maybe, and one government and one court system, do you really think it's going to be fair for you? Is that what it's going to be fair? Or is it going to determine what's best for them? That's what you have to do. Okay, so there'll be no disagreeing. Okay, so it's going to be like, total martial law.
And then it says, the next one, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court.
Right. So nations, but one court.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Right.
Okay, people are allowed to live in North America, but there's one court. So it doesn't matter. There's no more America. There's no more United States of America. That's going to be eliminated. There's no more Italy and Poland, and that's going to be eliminated. I mean, it's going to be, you live in an area, perhaps, I don't know.
And they call it a nation.
And then they call it a nation, but there's one court. So there's one government. There's always one government.
One government for all of it.
There's always one government for all of us, and that's what's so different. And the thing is, too, I was reading, who's to say if, so we have no borders, and there's one we have different nations, and there's one government. So the negative of open borders, and this is what people should think about with open borders, it should just be open borders. Anybody should be able to go into anybody's country, and no regulation, no documentation, no filtering through. There should be none of that. Okay, well, the flip side of that is, if you believe in that, then who's to say you get to live here? Like, who's to say you get to stay in your state or in your country? Who's to say the government, this one government, can't say, you know what, we're going to move everybody out of New York and ship them because this is over to the continent of Africa because this is where we need slave labor and this is where you're going. So nothing says you get to stay here. So this is the negative of open borders, is that how open is it, and are you giving the government permission to allow anybody to come in, but then do they eventually, because we go back to balancing with perpetual balance with nature, so if we're letting people come here, then do we have the right to ship people elsewhere? So nothing says you get to stay here just because your borders are open.
That's an excellent point. Excellent point, yep. It's right. People don't stop to think about that.
No, how does this keep going?
This is the thing.
When they're saying balance all the time, how does this keep going? What does this keep morphing into? What does this evolve to? It just doesn't end with, okay, fine, we'll allow open borders. It doesn't end there. Things keep evolving based on, okay, so if everybody comes here, what if everybody all of a sudden came here?
They wouldn't be allowed to.
But then what?
We have to
get rid of people. So who do we get rid of? We allow those. I don't know. It opens it up.
There's just no freedom with anything.
Right.
No.
Right.
Not at all. You're right. It's absolutely wow. But it says protect people and nations. They have the nerve to say protect. What do they mean by protect?
Right. How are they protecting us if they're taking away our freedom and they're taking away, if they're even ruling our passions? How are they protecting us? What does that mean?
Yeah.
But that's conquer. I will tell you how to think. I'll tell you how to feel. I will tell you what to believe. And I know we've had so many discussions, Rosemary and I, off the show, where we're very concerned from a spiritual perspective that people are being told what to think, how to feel, and what to say. And that throat chakra is being totally cut off, and there's fear being created. I know in our country, and like we say, we have viewers all over the world. In our country, people are afraid to say who they even vote for. because they don't want to be challenged, ostracized, hurt. There's violence against people if they're in support of the elected president or a certain candidate. So there's actual violence, and so people are starting to become afraid of even saying. It's like you can't even think out loud. You know how you think out loud, and then you're like, oh, why did I say that? That doesn't really make sense. but that's part of our growth. We're allowed to
Right.
just
We look at it and
think,
say, what do I do?
What do I, and then we may say to someone who cares about us, I think this. And they're like, you're crazy. I think this. And this goes back and forth. And that's how we learn. That's how we think for ourselves.
Yes.
It takes us to thinking for ourselves. New World Order does not want you to think for yourself. You're not allowed to think for yourself. We're going to take care of you. We're going to take care of you. We're going to protect you. We're going to, and that's really just keeping people down. And that's
When
what
you,
it's about.
you be careful when they say something like that, because that
Yes, be careful
that
of that.
takes
Any
away-
government, no matter where you live, when they start saying, we know what's best for you,
there goes your freedom
there goes your freedom. Yeah,
right out the door.
there goes your freedom.
You got to
Yeah.
think about these things.
Right. Right.
That's so absolutely true.
Right, and
it
that's what
bothering me.
That's
Who
what
makes the laws?
Who makes the laws? And that's what bothering me too. I think one of the biggest problems that we have, people talk about racism and all these different things, right? All these different isms, and I think elitism really is the scariest thing that's out there, because elitism isn't just a group saying, being racist, I don't like purple people, Elitism saying, I'm superior to you, and I know what's best for you. You're not as smart as me, you're not as prestigious as me, you're not as...
Exactly.
And we see a lot of elites, we see them a lot in this country, and I think throughout the world. You're not as anything as me, but I know how you should live. And that's so scary to me.
Oh, it is.
I know how you should live. And it's like, no, I don't know how you should live. I don't...
Yeah, we shouldn't.
I don't know how you should live. I don't know how you should think. I just know you're not allowed to hurt anybody. That's all I know for sure.
Right.
And that's why we have laws. You just can't hurt other people.
Right.
But I don't know how you should live. And I'm not going to tell you how you should live.
Well, we're at the half-hour mark, so we can
Okay.
show the next four, or the last
All right.
4 pictures of our Georgia Guidestones. And that, we told you, is the way, what was it? I had forgotten how it measures from a certain light of day
Certain
where
light
it's...
and time
and-
yeah, so you're able to just read, somehow with the planets and all of that. So
Right.
so you would know what the time is
Yeah, okay.
and the seasons.
There it is there. You can see it
same
in the
there.
bigger,
That
yeah.
slit that's in the middle one.
Right. And you can see, now here's,
That's in English, that
yeah,
side.
this one, balance personal rights with social duties,
Yep, we're going to
price,
be getting
truth,
into those. Price,
reality, love, seeking, heart, all those, that's
These
how
are
they
all
are there.
written
And then
on them.
other language there.
And then there's 7 other
Yep.
7 other languages besides English.
I think there's just
Is
a
that
couple
it?
more.
Or is there a
that
couple
the end
more?
of it? Oh, okay, we showed it all.
Okay, all right. So those are all
Now the next one
pictures.
for you, Carla, to read was
Number
number
7, right?
7.
All right. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Now, everybody would probably applaud that one, right? I mean, just petty laws and useless officials. So what does that mean?
What's
I
a
mean,
petty law?
What's a petty
What's
law?
petty to you and not petty to me?
It's not necessarily petty for
Yeah.
me, right? What's a petty law? Is it
Jaywalking?
is it you?
I don't know.
Have the right to walk in my house? Is that a petty law? You know what I mean? I don't know. Is that you don't have the right to, right?
Yeah, what would
Go
be a
against
petty
my
law that we
pro-
have now?
I mean,
I can't think of anything off the bat. I really can't.
And I'm sure,
Seatbelts, I
this
hate
is what,
them.
Yeah,
That's just
I'm
me,
sure,
though.
but things are being changed all the time, and that's for each of the different cultures, government
Right.
officials. That's for, we elect the government officials, and this is, to represent us, and this is what they're deciding. And if people don't like a law and there's enough against it, then they stop it, and if there's and so of course a lot of discussions on stuff like that. I mean, I think this one, it sounds good, but again, it always comes back to who gets to decide, and what's useless.
Who gets to decide what's
In
useless?
other words, I don't think anybody. If you're not in this 10% grouping here of the elite class, and you're down here with everybody else, I don't think you're going to have a title. I think this is what it is. I don't think anybody's going to be the manager or anybody's going to have a title. I think you're just being told what to do. You go and you have a job and you're being told what to do. Now, or there's very minimal.
One thing that might stand out for some people, they think, oh, this is a good thing. There's lots of people in government. Too many people in government.
Right. I think
paying all the salaries, and they elect themselves, and they give themselves raises, and they do this and that and the other. I say a lot of them are useless. We don't need all those people. So you look at this, they say, well, that's a good thing.
Right.
To me, that sounds good to me.
But
they do that. They temper it with. They put the good words in the bad words.
Yeah, they put the good words in. So who was going to really disagree with this? And this is what gets me thinking, when you think of, just Hollywood out there, talk about elitist and telling us all how to live. And then all these, probably excessive government agencies and, and all this telling us, how to live and how to think and all of that. And it's like, do you all think you're going to make it? Like, if this becomes a reality, something like one world order, new world order, none of you, why do you think you're going to make the cut? Like, people need to pay attention to this. This is something that so many people they're talking about reducing the population so drastically, and having a form of eugenics and just such control over population that
there's going to be the very rich, very rich, and then the very poor,
right? And then they're going to reach a certain age where all of a sudden you're a burden on nature. You're considered useless.
Will they be put to sleep?
And then are you going to be put to sleep? Okay, so when do you become useless? So it says useless officials. Well, rah. Let's get rid of all the excess in government and everywhere else. But it's like, what does that mean, useless officials? Does that mean just old
anywhere.
people?
Right.
Right. And then, you just can't carry your weight anymore, and so we don't need you. You're past childbearing, and you're past physical stamina, and,
Can't do anything. You can't work.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah, you can't support. You can't help to do,
So we certainly don't need you to be a stressor. Yeah. They're going to have us convinced you're not to be a stressor against nature. You can't be a stressor against nature, so it's time for you to go, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's wild. It's definitely wild, but it's here, and this is why we're talking about it.
And when we're talking about Lucifer's rules, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
He has no compassion or love.
No.
So
no love for us.
It's going to be like robotic.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
There's no.
I bet you'll have a lot of those.
Right.
In the New World Order, robots that do everything.
We definitely will have a lot of robots.
Oh, a lot of robots.
Yeah, a lot of robots. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Maybe that's what they're thinking in terms of, we were talking in the last episode, the first part, about if you reduce it, who's going to be doing things, who's going to be in the fields with the, with the food and cultivating, and who's going to be farming, and who's going to be, and I don't know, maybe it's all going to be, so many things are just going to be robotic.
Yeah, some things you need people for, so
and
they'll do.
And some things are just robots.
The rich will reap everything, and the robots will do everything else.
Yeah.
That's true. That we just thought of that.
And humans will do what the robots can't. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, all right. Okay, there's a thought. There's a thought.
Unbelievable. Balance personal rights with social duties.
Okay, so balance personal rights with social duties. So balance your personal rights with your obligations. So the government is telling you there's social duties you're responsible for. Okay, we really don't get told that. We're within our cultures, we know we should be taking care of our families, right?
Right.
And there's certain things we should be good to our neighbor, things like that.
Yeah, and that's.
But we're not told you have to go work in the soup
we have
kitchen.
The free will.
We're not told. It's free will.
Yeah.
We're not told that we have to save the whales. We're not told that we have to end world hunger.
Yeah, governed by people's heart and
soul. This is governed by your passion.
Right.
This is governed by what stirs in you and what you want to do.
Now, up here in 4, it says rule passion.
Right.
So that ties in with this, what you just said.
It ties in with that.
It's your passion to save the whales and help animals or help feed the hungry, or you won't be able to do that.
So maybe it's just going to be, they're going to tell you what your You're going to be told what your social duties are. And what is balance? Balance doesn't mean 50% my, or does it? Does it mean 50% my rights, 50% social duties? Is
Balance,
that your
personal rights.
Is that your life, your personal rights?
Would be saying you can only, let's see, you have to work so many hours a day. That's your social duty. And your personal right is, well, you need to go home and have supper and sleep. Big deal.
You get to You get to eat. You get to eat. You get to eat. I mean, is that, if you're being totally controlled and you have no choices over anything, not even your passions, I mean, it's just, you can use your, I mean, it sounds like a futuristic sci-fi kind of
horror movie.
Yeah. And there's certainly
does.
been a lot of them in Hollywood through the years. I mean, like pushing boundaries and testing, and like we talked about in the last episode, almost getting us acclimated to the possibility of things that could happen.
And I wonder where they got these ideas from to make these movies.
I know.
Do you think that psychically some of them thought about this? Some of us, our brothers and sisters, thought about this? Hollywood movies can teach us a lot, but they can also ruin a lot. And I mean, I always loved movies because of what they taught us, plus the entertainment and everything else.
Right.
But now they're acting like a whole nother world, and we're going to talk about that in another show. We'll have a show about what's going on in Hollywood these days.
Right.
But you're right. You're right. And what you said, where do they get these ideas? And you see these things happening, and we go, boy, am I glad that's just a movie.
Am I glad that's just a movie? Yeah.
Remember the one with the pods?
Yeah.
Took over. It's almost like that.
Yeah.
These pods, and they took over the people. People died, and the things that came from these pods, where the people with no emotions, they just do what they're supposed to do.
Those people do what they're supposed to do.
I'm so glad that's a movie.
Yeah, right.
May not be a movie anymore.
Right.
May not wake up from this nightmare.
Yeah.
The way it's here.
The way it is here.
Yeah, the way it's what they're saying. You got to read between the lines.
You got to read between the lines, and then you got to, even as wild as it sounds, and I don't think this could completely turn over, in our lifetime or something like that. But it's not myself I'm worried about. It is future generations that I'm worried about. What will they have to live with? So it's not me. I mean, this isn't going to happen tomorrow. But it's gotten me reflecting on, but is it a little bit slowly happening?
It's already happening now.
We're giving up our rights.
Yeah.
We're giving up our freedoms. We're accepting that we can't say certain things in public, even though they're not, they're not.
And it's by our
harmful.
own people on our own level are doing this now.
Yeah, so it's pitting.
Yeah.
That's what evil wants to do.
Yep.
The people are innocent in it and not recognizing it. And this is why we want to raise a consciousness, really. And what do you think? Is this happening to you? Do you feel pitted against your neighbor or somebody in your family you disagree with, say, politically or ethically or whatever way?
The law isn't telling you to do this or believe this way or
No.
not. They're not telling you now. You're right. It's
We're
each other.
doing it with each other already.
So we're setting
telling each
ourselves
other.
up for this to happen.
So we're setting
people,
us right.
People will say, "Oh, this is great. Now I don't have to tell them what to do. They'll tell them what to do. They agree with me." But then comes a time when you're not going to agree with you.
They're not going to agree
That's
with
gonna change.
you. This is the thing. That's not going to
People
agree
need to
with
wake
you.
up. They need to wake
And
up.
there is a movement. We already have it in this country, where it's an extreme movement. And if you disagree with them on any level, they're out to destroy you. I mean, they will destroy you, and that's also very concerning to me.
I don't know what happened with people all of a sudden. Like when President Trump first came in, he had those hats that people wore for President Trump, and you wore that, and somebody would knock it off your head and punch you and stuff.
They're beating kids up on buses with a hat, like it's a hat.
I know it.
And it's like, what? Like, can we just stop and think about it? Even if you hate the administration now, hate it. Think about it. Is it okay to beat up somebody because of a belief they're saying on a hat?
Yeah.
Something
you don't care for.
And this is what's, because people are saying now, I'm offended. you can't offend me. What you say offends me. What you've got written on your hat offends me. What you've got on your T-shirt offends me.
Exactly.
Okay, so is this what this is? Balance personal rights with, with social duties. Like, we can't offend. Is this what avoid petty laws? Is this we can't offend? I mean, is this what we're going towards? Is we're going to tell you what's offensive. We're going to tell you what's offensive.
It's almost like something dripped down out of the sky into people, and all of a sudden they became like this. I mean,
well, where does that get stirred? But isn't that evil? Isn't that what we talk about? This is the devil works in God works in mysterious ways,
and
but
he's finally
the
got
devil's
through.
out there too, working and getting through. And
it's like, I don't know people anymore.
Right.
You don't recognize them anymore.
Well, people aren't going to say, yes, I'm like I'm evil. They're not going to say that. But then they start slowly doing certain behaviors that are harmful to others.
That's right.
That are taking away somebody else's personal liberties. And so, I mean, that is what evil is. I mean, that's going against the Ten Commandments, but that's okay because this is about a new Ten Commandments.
They don't even know they're being manipulated.
I don't think so.
They listen to, like, all right, take government. They listen to parties,
right.
Democrat, Republican. They listen to what they're saying, and they say, okay, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, they said this was bad, so this is bad. I am a Democrat or I am a Republican. Say, your people, the parties were supposed to help each other together to say, do you think that's a little excessive? Well, yeah, it could be. Let's talk about it. That's gone.
And that's about balance, right? And
our
government is supposed to be, okay, you're supposed to have yin and yang.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be balanced. It's not always supposed to be this way.
Right.
It's not our government. It's not always supposed to be this way. And so that's what's getting disturbing that we're seeing with our officials and the divisiveness that government officials are telling constituents to stir up and go out and do this.
Right.
And
they're listening.
Hit the hats off of people. And so you agree with this one. You hate that saying on that hat. But what about if it's something you like someday? Yeah. I mean, it is treat others how you would like to be treated.
Exactly.
Okay, you may have something that's different, and you want me to go up and I don't agree with it. Do you want me to hit the hat off of you? I think it's just treat others like you want to be treated, and we're getting away from that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So that started it, and I never knew people were such sheeple. I mean, I know there's a sheeple in the world. I call them sheeple.
I've never heard that expression.
Yeah, sheeple.
Okay.
They can't think for themselves. They follow the crowd.
They go to slaughter. Yeah.
Yeah. They want to believe. They want to belong. They want to belong.
Okay. Yeah.
So they get in with a crowd. It's crowd mentality.
It's a crowd mentality. I agree. That's a good point. Very good
So
point.
they follow the crowd. They get in with the crowd and you say, what do you think? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah. So they got somebody, especially people who don't have much lives going on for themselves. They
feel powerful.
Yeah, it makes them feel powerful.
People feel very powerful. But you're being used. That's the thing. I don't like that. I don't like when politicians are saying, go ruffle feathers with people that disagree with our party. I don't like that. I feel like you're using people, and they're going after the young, and that's very problematic.
So that is a sample. I brought this up because we're gonna have more discussions on this in future shows. But I brought up that as a sample of what it's going to be like under the New World Order.
Yes.
It won't be just people telling you now, it'll be the law.
Oh, that'll be just the law. It'll just be the law. And it doesn't matter what you think and what you think. If you can trace back 100 years, your ancestors thought this way, your ancestors thought this way, no more. You're all just thinking the same way. You have to, or you'll be killed. I mean, that's just what will happen.
Oh, my goodness. We got about
10
minutes or more. So
so we'll move it along because these are really all open up to. So we're on. Okay, so we're on number 9.
Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite.
Hello.
What's the infinite? I want to know who's the infinite.
Prize truth. Who's truth? This is what the spiritual journey is all about. Finding your own truth.
I know.
So prize truth. Who's truth?
I know.
Our own individual, no, it isn't. It's going after spirituality. There's going to be one spirituality. It's what the government says you are to believe in, that what the truth is. The government's going to tell you what the truth is.
Truth according to them.
Right. So it's not this freedom of, oh, I have to go find my truth that's out there, what's true for me. No, it's going to be no more of that. So that's going to be prized. Truth, beauty, that's scary, right? Isn't that a little scary? Do you just mean the beauty of nature?
Right, what does that mean?
Do you mean the beauty of people?
People got to be all beautiful now this time.
Is
no
this
ugly
what
people?
I mean, if you're reducing the population and you're controlling reproduction, then I guess you can define what's beautiful. But I think you're talking about eliminating color, and you're talking about eliminating, certain features. I think you're talking about one race where everybody looks the same
and good,
completely the same.
No fats, no thins,
no one color,
too short, too tall, no nothing like that.
Maybe one, I mean, that's what Nazism was, getting into one eye color.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're controlling all this reproduction,
blonde hair, blue eyes, right?
You can decide. Yeah, you can decide what everybody looks like.
Oh
what
my
gets
God.
to stay.
And make it something to prize.
Right, and then prize, truth, beauty, love.
Love.
Okay.
Now what would that be? Prize love.
And seeking harmony with the infinite, right? So who defines infinite? Do we mean forever with God, or
he certainly doesn't mean God. Who's the infinite now?
They don't mean God. No.
There'll be a new ruler.
Because
these are Lucifer's commandments.
Yeah.
So he would be the infinite.
So he would be the infinite.
They certainly don't mean God, because they're taking it out of everything.
Seeking harmony would mean doing what you're told.
Yeah, doing what you're told. Seeking harmony. That's the only thing. You have you do whatever they say you do. You believe whatever they say you believe, and you'll be in harmony with everything, and be in harmony with the leader. The infinite would be the leader. Prize love.
Right.
Love.
Prize love.
Now, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Love.
I wonder what people think. I mean, we're interested in what people think. I mean, what does it mean to prize love?
We know what it means to prize love.
We know what it means to us.
Right.
But if we're talking about eliminating families and we're talking about eliminating faiths, everything's going to be one. So there's not going to be different religions. There's not going to be families. There's not going to be, it's just going to be one people serving another small group of people. So love for nature, love for this group of people.
Loving the infant, loving that leader.
Loving that leader.
Loving the rules. Maybe that's what they're talking about.
I don't think it means loving each other.
No.
They don't want that, right?
No.
If I start caring for you, I start wanting to do things on your behalf. They don't want this. They don't want connection between people.
And two of us who love each other might want to change things.
We might want to change things, yep.
And they would not like that at all.
No.
And the last one, number 10.
So be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. So
It
this
said it
is
twice.
said twice. Be not a cancer on the earth. This is the purpose of the population at some point being reduced to a tenth the amount that is already here. Is that...
All right, so what is cancer? Cancer is a disease.
Well, you're leeching on the
destroys.
earth. It doesn't want you leeching on the earth. I mean, look at I know in our government, New Green Deal got proposed. Okay, so they say it has no chance, but it's out there, right? It's starting to plant the seed for people. We need to get rid of the cows, and we need to get rid of the airplanes. We need to control travel. I mean, this is in the New Green Deal. We need to start to control things for the betterment of the earth, right? This is what we need to do, is we have to start doing this. So be not a cancer on the earth, I think, means you cannot be using any of the resources.
Well, take cancer apart. It's a disease that does what? Destroys.
Right. It destroys
the body. Destroys tissues.
Starts destroying cells. Right.
And cells.
Right.
So that would mean you can't destroy anything on the earth. How would you put that? Let's see. Be not a cancer.
Well, I think it can mean be not a cancer on the earth. You can't deplete in any way. So we don't want you if you need medical care. You're of no use anymore. Remember, the population's greatly reduced, and you have to serve this one
there
only
you go.
class.
That's
so
it.
at any time, okay, it's like falling down on the chain gang here.
If you get
out you
ill,
go.
you're going.
You get ill, out you go. You get a disability, out you go. You lose, you know.
And you don't think they're going to take care of the people who have these disabilities?
No. There's no room for this. You're a cancer on the earth. You need help. You're not the fit. You're not the fit survive. You're not what is going to take care of this ruling class. If there's no use for you, so as you age, as you get sick, then you can go. I mean, when we are actually at the point in the society of saying, if the mother doesn't want the baby and the baby's aborted at 9 months, but the baby survives, the mother gets to decide. Okay, so what is that saying? The mother's deciding. So we start with the mother deciding if a child gets to live. And when does it move over to the government get to decide a child gets to live? This is what's scary about this, okay? It's more than women's rights, it's people's rights. And I'm right. I believe in right to choose. So, but this is too much for me. Do you see what I mean? I'm for right to choose. So this is just too much for me. And I look at that. The mother gets to decide with the doctor if the 9-month-old perfect form baby gets to live. So when's the next step? The government gets to decide this. An agency gets to decide this.
I know.
This is what's scary about being kids on the earth. Okay, so
and leave room for nature would be.
Leave room for nature. Nature's what's all important. Okay, so nature is what's going to be important. Leave room for nature. So that's
the things are going to grow.
Everything's going to grow. It's going to be like the Garden of Eden long ago.
Less humans.
Right? Less humans, more nature. Yeah, less humans.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, so.
Well, folks, we have to be wrapping it up.
Right.
But these
Sorry
are
about this. I know
Georgia
this is like
Chronicles.
Right.
And they exist.
Right.
And we try to tell you as much as we can. And I hope that you will
look into it yourself. Please look into it.
You can look it up. It's all over the internet.
Look it up. It's everywhere. It's on
articles.
YouTube. It's on so many videos, so many podcasts. The Georgia-Guidestones are in Georgia, in the United States.
You can even visit them. And if you have any questions for us, please get a hold of, write your questions, send them in, email them or whatever. Send them to the station in letters if you don't have email. And we'll try to answer them.
And let us know, too, what you think of the new series.
Yes.
I mean, we really don't know. We know we probably seem all over the place. We don't know where we're going with this. We just think that we're on to something.
And if you have any suggestions, let us know that, too.
Let us know.
Okay, we have to wrap it up. Let's give our contact information real quick.
And you can get a hold of me on my website at carlaaugustine.com. And please watch my show, Spiritual Invitation. Just go to YouTube and type my name into the search, and all the episodes will come up.
And for me, there's my phone number, my email, my website, and a very important website that has all spiritual books that we talk about on our Life Explained series. Please go on there and take a look around. Okay, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank
Be
you.
safe.
Thanks for watching.
Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand. Fear's not allowed, where dreams can be lost or found. As you look out through the window,